let's see some oligosaccharide. Just definition of that. 3 to 10 monosaccharides. One monosaccharide, this is the one sugar, 2 sugar, 3. From 3 we start to 10. We call them oligosaccharide. Oligo means more than 2. 2, 10. So these kind of structures are called oligo. The best examples. We have the oligosaccharides in some plant seeds. Because of that, they are good source of the carbohydrates. Like beans. Beans are good. For what? They have enough carbohydrate, enough proteins, and their carbohydrates are oligo, and it takes time our intestine to digest them and absorb them so slowly. And your blood sugar goes up slowly, not so fast. If it goes so fast high, your insulin after that goes high and decreases again. And you feel kinda tired after getting simple sugars. That is a nutritional point that you need to consider in your mind when you next time consume this kind of things. The best example for the oligosaccharide, what are our blood groups? In red blood cells, this is a red blood cell. I'm gonna call it RBC. On the surface of that, we have some antigens. These antigens are blood groups. So major blood groups are A, B, O. What is the A? See differences. This is A, blood group A. This is O. This is B. What is O? This is a structure. See, what is the GAA? Galactose. What is this one? You are not supposed to memorize the name of that. I'm just showing you the differences of the blood groups. This is a N-acetyl glucose. And the other one, galactose, this one is glucose. All of them are sugar. See? We have some sugars here on this surface. They are blood groups. So what is the difference between O and A? Blood group A. Whose blood group is A? Do you know your blood groups? So who knows? O. What is the O? This is like this. What is the difference between A and O? Just this one. Galactose. It has N-acetyl galactose with acetyl groups connected to what? Galactose. What is the difference between O and B? Just galactose. See, with adding one sugar to red blood cell structure, extra galactose here, it is called B group, blood B. For the O, we don't have this one, just this one. How about the differences between B and A? They have both galactose, but this one doesn't have acetyl groups, but this has. See, big differences. With just adding acetyl group, the blood group only totally changes. So, in best examples for the oligosaccharides, blood groups. Just remember that. And nutritional one, always that you study some chemistry related things, try to read something that is useful for your health. For oligosaccharide carbohydrate, what are the examples? Those we have in plants, mainly. Specifically in some of those plants, like beans. The carbohydrates are oligo and they are healthy because they are kind of polysaccharides. Good polysaccharides because they have branches, takes time to break them down. So, let's go to the last part of the carbohydrate. What is the last part? We had monosaccharides, disaccharides, oligosaccharides and polysaccharides. So that is clear. More than 10 units you have. We have two classifications for them. Homo, hetero. The units are same. Let's say, for example, glucose. All units are glucose. What is the name of the polysaccharide? Glycogen. In animals. In plants, it is called starch. Do you know what's the starch?
Yes.
Yeah, starch is a polysaccharide. In rice, in bread, we have starch. All units are glucose, but you might ask why it doesn't taste sweet. When the units are like this, it doesn't taste. They should actually digest it as a glucose or maltose. At that time, they taste sweet. So, for the homopolysaccharide, some of these other classification is that some of them are storage form. What is the storage form of the glucose in our body? Glycogen. We storage glucose as a glycogen. Glycogen is a polysaccharide of glucose. We add the glucose. Starch. What is the starch? All of these units are glucose. Starch is a source of the, in a form of the glucose storage in plants. What about the animals? We call it glycogen. This is for plants. Storage of the glucose. They store the glucose as a starch. We consume that. In where? In wheat, in rice. All of them, they have starch. The units are glucose. Because of that, most of the time you are recommended to limit your rice or flour or wheat consumption because they are full in glucose. Another classification is that we have this glucose as a polymer, but that is a structural in plants. What is the structure of the plant? Cellulase. Cellulase. Do you know cellulase? Yeah. What is this? Sugar. Oh, a sugar type. Plant's membrane. All units are sugar. But you might ask a question, when I actually consume these vegetables or these plants, why it doesn't taste sweet? If you consume vegetables, they don't produce energy. However, the units are exactly glucose, but their binding is different. In amylose or starch, the binding is like that. 1 to 4, 1 to 4, they are actually bound to each other. But in cellulose, it's like that. And we can't digest them. They binding, glucose to glucose, glucose, their binding is a kind of, we don't have enzyme to digest them. Because of that, when you consume vegetables, it doesn't produce energy for you. They are healthy for your intestine because they absorb water and keep your intestine moving so gently to digest everything. So, two examples. For the homopolysaccharides, units are same. We have some of them are structural. They are structured in plants like cellulose. Some of them are the storage one. What is that? Glycogen or inulin. These two, chitin and cellulase. Chitin is a surface of the insect. Do you know what's the insect? They fly. It's small hasharat, yeah. In hasharat, the outer membrane is carbohydrates. So, out of the polysaccharides, the most important one is what's that? Hyaluronic acid. You just remember this one, and we have heparin, is another polysaccharides. The units are not same. Sometimes we have a glucose, sometimes after that we have a glucose, galactose, or different derivatives. Because of that, it is called heteropolysaccharides. So the definition, what's the definition for heteropolysaccharides? Units are not same. Different units we have. For example, one glucose, one galactose. Again, one glucose, one galactose, polymer of that. Not disaccharide, polymer of that. This is called heteropolysaccharide. The
difference with monopolysaccharide, we have a unit, but it's similar to each other, right?
Yeah. Disaccharides similar to each other, more than 10. Sometimes 300.
I mean the difference between monosaccharide and...
Yeah, in homosaccharide, the units are same. All base units are same. For glucose, or fructose, or galactose, it depends on the name of that polysaccharide. But units are same. All units are same. So just see the structure of them, just examples. See, this is the cellulose. These are glucose. These are glucose structure. All of these are glucose. That's the cyclic form of that, not linear form of that. All of these are glucose. See, the glucose. But their connection is like that. They make it so tight and flexible structure. This is a structure. You might ask a question, can we digest these glucoses and use that? No, we can't. But cow can, barbara can't. Yes, because it has some bacteria in the intestine and stomach, specifically stomach, digest it. And release all of these glucoses. But we can't. Because of that, if we consume some plants, the membrane doesn't produce energy for us. This is hasharat membrane. See their structure outside membrane. What are the units? These are glucose. Polymer of that, CN. We have a lot of this disaccharide structure on there. But just look at this one. The units has acetyl groups. This is acetyl. We call it N-acetyl because this is added to amine group. It is called N-acetyl glucose, polymer of this glucose. It is a magic of the nature. It can adjust something to something else and produce something new. So, and then see the glycogen structure. This is a glycogen. See, we have glucose. All of these are glucose. All of these are glucose. And also this. In some places, we have a branch. See, we have a linear of that. In some places, it seems. Let's say I am a linear form of the glucose. A lot of glucoses you see here. But if I try to keep more glucoses, I can have some branches. In every branches, also I could have some glucose. Glycogen is like that. With a tree, like a tree with a lot of branches. That is a glycogen. because it helps our liver with a small size store a lot of glucose as a glycogen.
So glycogen is the type of homopolysaccharide.
Exactly, a storage form of that. Like we have the same one with less branches in what? Tomato. Yeah. And rice, in which a lot of them they have a lot of starch. Remember that starch is equal to glycogen. Compare a tree with more branches for glycogen and less branches for what? Starch. Starch is for plants, storage one. Glycogen is for animals, like humans. Yeah. And this one is just a nutritional point. Always when I try to teach my parts, I try to give you some nutritional points. Have you ever heard about the cooling rice and then consuming that? Have you heard about that point? If you cool rice and then eat that in a cold form, it is more healthier than when it is hot.
Like when you do it with potatoes.
Exactly. We can do it with potatoes. Yes. Cool it down. You know what? Why? It carves some kind of new branches. Do you remember polysaccharide branches? When you hit them, some of these branches are breaking down and your intestine can absorb, remove those glucose easily. But when you're cooling them down, during the cooking them, some of these branches might digested or broken. But during the cooling down, they are connected again. Instead of like this, my body knows that and knows how to digest that. Sometimes new branches is like this. And my enzyme can't digest from this side. So they are not absorbed. They are called resistant starch. They are called resistant starch. We have a different types of the rices. They say we have new rices. The percentage of the starch on it that is resistant is more than 50%, is more than 20%. It says 20% of that is not absorbed by your body because that is resistant to digestion. So, next time, remember that tree with the normal branches, but a tree with new branches. When you cool it down, some new bonds, new actually branches make it. That branches is not familiar to our enzyme and it can't actually be digested by enzyme. This is called resistant starch. It has seen with cooling of rice. So next time, if you are crazy about the rices and you want to eat that,
We should go.
yeah, cool it down and then consume that. It is more healthier because some of these carbohydrates are consumed by your intestines bacteria and that's healthy for them. And just one example of the polysaccharides, heteropolysaccharides. What is this? Hyaluronic acid. I explained this one. You will find next time, if you go to the drugstore or just some cosmetic shops, you will see these serums. They say we have hyaluronic acids. You can find many places. This is advertisement just as big. I'm not recommending that. I'm not suggesting that. I'm not against that also. I'm just talking, you can find these carbohydrates anywhere. So, they are used for the, juvenilizing your skin or making it more, younger because they absorb water. and they actually hidden that wrinkles every face they have. Also, we have as a natural compounds in our knees. For what? Our knees needs a lubricant. This polycarbohydrate absorbs water. A nutritional thing. Have you ever tried adding starch in your, porridge? What do you call porridge? Stove? Someone has. Do you know some of those actually cooking meals? What do you serve rice with what? What? Rose. So, rose, yeah. If you in Iran, there are some kind of browse for the rice, but if it be more watery, it shows you are not good cook.
Yeah.
You need to remove that water, not with just pouring it out.
We add potato.
Add potato. For what? Why potato?
To absorb the starch, so the starch make it.
Starch is a polysaccharide absorb water and make it so texture is a soft, not watery. Other point, you can actually get some starch from the market and add that starch to it. I use it a lot. Yeah, it's a cooking point. You can take home message to yourself. So next time, you might know that, but the logic behind that is the carbohydrates, polycarbohydrates, polymers of them absorb water. They get water and you can use in cooking meats. Yeah, that's it for the carbohydrate part. Let's go to the other part. What's that? Lipids. Yeah. You are familiar with the lipids, no? What kind of lipids do you know? Omega-3, omega-6. Which one of them? Have you heard about them? Yeah. Again, in drugstores, in many places, you might see someone saying that this is good because of this omega-3 and omega-6. And we are gonna this session see what are those compounds and get familiar with the name of them. And every time that you read some of these ingredients on these bottles, you can actually find informative, information there. How about the chemical importance? What are the carbohydrates? Why they are important? Have you ever tried a recently laboratory test? Who has tried recently? Has been in a laboratory for doing some tests? Or in your relative? Have you ever looked at the laboratory results?
Yeah.
Yes. So what kind of tests you can find them related to lipids? Yes. You can find many of information there, like cell counts or fasting blood sugar and some others. Because the diabetes is high in Iraq, you might see many of these tests. What are these tests? Cholesterol. Have you heard about the cholesterol? Yeah, that's the general term. Everyone knows that. And LDL cholesterol, triglycerides. We are going to see the names and the structure of this in this session. So, what are these cholesterol? What are these HDL? You know what is HDL? Have you heard about that? LDL or HDL? They are kind of lipids, lipid forms, and triglycerides. See, in laboratory, next, if you go home today, you can look at those laboratory results. You might find these things. You can read them. Because that is one of the points in the future you might ask from your clients. Ask them to check their sugar levels and their lipid levels, because it helps to have a good information about the situation. So the importance is like that. When you study the lipids, apart from your daily needs for the lipids, you are going to get familiar with the importance of them. So what are the lipids? When you are going to define lipids, it's not as easy as the carbohydrates, because they have a simple definition. Some carbon structure with the hydrated ones. So it was so easy. But how about the lipids? We have a lot of compounds. We can actually define one sentence to all of them. That sentence could be like heterogeneous compounds. It means a lot of compounds. They are not soluble in water. We call them lipids. That is easy. But many of compounds are like that. We call them lipids. So, what are their roles? See that their properties is relatively insoluble in water, soluble in non-polar solvent. That is so easy and simple. They are important dietary constituents because they have more energy compared to the carbohydrates and fat-soluble vitamins. You need to daily take some lipids. Not much of that. You should take healthier of that, and the level that you need, not much of that. Because some of those vitamins, they are fat soluble. If you restrict your fat diets, you are going to face with what? Some of this vitamin deficiency. Some of those vitamins that they are soluble in fats. What vitamins are soluble in fat?
Vitamin D.
D.
Omega-3.
Omega-3 is a kind of fatty acid. I'm just talking about vitamins.
B12.
No, all B groups are water soluble.
So
B, E, A, K. You are going to study those things in vitamins. But these four vitamins are dependent on lipids that you get. Some people, they have so restricted diets, they don't get any lipids or fats, and they might face with this kind of vitamins, specifically vitamin K. But luckily, vitamin K is synthesized by what? Our bacteria. We can synthesize vitamin K with intestine bacteria. So, they are thermal insulator. They help us protect us from what? Any punching, any physical heat, or even cold weather. They protect us. And also, in body, we transport them as a lipoprotein. What's the lipoprotein? Can you read the details?
lipid and protein.
Lipids are not soluble in water, so you can't transport them directly in blood circulation. You need to add protein outside of that and hit the lipids inside that. What is called? Lipoprotein. Exactly. So in lipid situation, when you are gonna study lipids, you ask for the lipoprotein. HDL and LDL, they are lipoproteins. High density lipoprotein, low density lipoprotein, LDL. LDL is for low density lipoprotein. HDL is high density lipoprotein. So on that page, if you remember that laboratory results, so please, if you have a laboratory result at home, check it. And tomorrow we can talk about that. So, yeah. And there are a lot of diseases related to lipids. One of them is obesity. After obesity, what happens? Diabetes. That is related to lipids and carbohydrates. So let's start with the simplest one. Fatty acids. Fatty acids. See? What is this? What's this? COH is acid. How about this one? We have hydrogens here. What's the difference between this structure with the carbohydrates? In carbohydrates, in some places we have OH. It was water, hydrate. What this is, we have just carbon with hydrogen. So we call it fatty acid. This is a structure of fatty acid. What's this? What's this? A double bond. Yeah, double bond we have here. So why we are going to talk about these double bonds? Because they are important. See, we have one double bond here. We call it, for the situation we have a double bond, we call it then what? Unsaturated. This is a saturated fatty acids because we don't have double bond on their structure. But this one is called unsaturated. When we have just one unsaturated double bond, we call it monounsaturated. How about this one? We call it polyunsaturated. Polyunsaturated. This one sometimes is called PUFA. This one called MUFA.
Why the name is poly? Poly means more than 10, right?
No. Yeah, for many cases you are right, but in the lipid structure, we don't have those kind of structure. Because of that, it is called polyunsaturated. Yeah, you are right. If you are gonna find the reason for poly, you might say it should be more than 10. But there isn't clear definition for those kind of things. We have a polyunsaturated fatty acids. In some of those actually ingredients in some market, you might see they have a PUFA. They write just this. It says it has polyunsaturated fatty acids. So have you heard about what kind of fatty acid do you get? This one is healthier or this one? What is the difference between this and this? Which one? After this class, you should give some advice to someone. You say, these saturated fatty acid, we have both of them in body. We can synthesize these ones from these ones, or convert these ones to this ones. Body has this ability to do this kind of things. But these ones are healthier, more healthier, polyunsaturated fatty acids. Why? I'm going to explain. Let's come to this one and back to, I go back to the previous slide. See, this is a table. You are not going to memorize this table. I will tell you which one of these fatty acids are important. See, these are short fatty acids here, like 4 carbons, short chain fatty acids. What are these? These are small fatty acids in the milk, specifically mother's milk. The neonates or kids, they absorb it so easily. You can absorb these things so easily. Imagine a neonate, a kid, needs energy, but for the long fatty acid isn't a good idea taking those fatty acids, but short fatty acids so absorb so easily and produce energy. But here you see some of them, they have some, star on it. Like this one, linoleic acid, linolenic acid, and arachidonic acid. Just remember the name of these fatty acids. These ones that they have star. What are these? What is this? This is saturated or unsaturated? This one.
Unsaturated.
This is unsaturated. How about this one? Monounsaturated or MUFA. How about this one?
Polyunsaturated.
Poly, exactly, PUFA. Again, another. So the names of this one is also same that PUFA with 20 carbons. Instead of 18 carbons, 20 carbons. These are, have you heard about these fatty acids, linoleic or linolenic? Mainly, you are recommended to get these fatty acids. Why? Back to previous slide. Here. Guys. Here. What is this? The fatty acids with one double bond. What is the position of this one? How many of carbon we have here? 1, 2, 18. This 18.